the meeting to order. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. First on the agenda, Ms. Dahlke, Ann from the Election Committee is going to draw the names as the order to appear on the ballots for the board candidates.
Kim Carlson. Dave Armstrong. Stephen McKee.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And if you could confirm that the Elections Committee reviewed all applications and they were all approved.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ann.
You're welcome.
Okay. Approval of the minutes from the January 22nd regular board meeting. Thank you, Bob. Sandy, thank you. Anybody corrections, questions? Good. I need to mention also Jackie, she zoomed in, no? Jackie, Director Gaines not here, and I do have a proxy. So all in favor? 9-0, thank you. The next is our February 19th work session. Motion, please.
I make a motion approving the minutes from the February 19th board work session.
Thank you, Kathleen.
Second.
Thank you, Jeff. Any corrections, questions on those? No? All right, all in favor? 9-0, thank you. Next is the Joint Advisory Committee reports. I have
rec and lakes.
and lakes, okay.
We had two members attend, two members speak on behalf of multiple members that are active in the tennis community. They were concerned about rumors that pickleball lines would be painted on the tennis courts at Kingsdale. We dispelled that rumor, and I had a pleasant conversation with Mr. Sullivan afterwards and reiterated once more that that rumor was false. Current business, the 2026 non-member events were approved. Well, most of them, they're going to consider another set of events at their March meeting. And these are all for a variety of locations in the POA, and then the ones they're going to consider in March are solely for Birksdale South. Staff report, Rick stated that refilling of Loch Lomond will begin the 1st of March and will be contingent upon the water level will be contingent upon rainfall. John Urquhart mentioned that the shooting range has had lower than expected attendance, primarily due to the weather. Trey reported a 39% increase in trail usage, and Huntley will have a facelift on the downhill section. Roland mentioned that a pipe burst between the Kingsdale pool and tennis court and is currently under repair. A couple items that need to be some attention was the basketball net at Branchwood. One of them needs to be fixed. The water spigot at Blowing Springs at Space 56 is leaning to one side and probably needs to be repaired. At Lake Avalon, the picnic area mulch under the big tree was being worked on and should look great when complete. And the Metville Fitness Center, the Octane machines mentioned last month have been repaired and they look great. So those are all the comments for the rec committee, and the minutes will be available on our website. For the Lakes Committee, the Kids Fishing Derby will take place on May 9th. And the Kayak Demo Day will take place the first Saturday in June. Both of these were voted upon by the committee, a 6-0 vote. Trey mentioned that the marina will open April 1st. A grass carp trap in Tyree Cove has been completed, and this will help eliminate the grass carp. Rick will be picking up the remodeled electro-fishing boat, which has actually already taken place. The grass carp raffle will continue in 2026, and that would be it for the minutes.
Thank you. Ms. Ruth, golf?
2 months, the golf department did not. You will see they've been very busy. We'll start with Graham Kornmeier's golf maintenance report. The frost line is now discontinued and message forward people to the POA website. The superintendents are making a decision when to open following frost with their local conditions and temperatures in mind and updating today's play each morning by 7 o'clock. The reason for that is not every place in the village has frost at the same level. So sometimes one course can open earlier than another course, and so it allows the individual superintendent to make the decision. And it seemed to be working better. They can get more tee times that way. 8 inches of snow in January hopefully insulate our trees, fairways, and roofs against the very cold temperatures with experience during that time period. Additionally, Greg made an effort to cover Bermuda grass tees that have been previously winter killed and tarped prior to the snowfall. All Bermuda grass greens were covered as well, and we will wait to see it approach when the potential winter kill when we get to see the spring green up. Bermuda fairways have been colored with turf paint, and all of them have been done at this time. We will begin spring pre-emergence herbicide application for spring and summer weeds this month on all golf courses. We are in the process of limbing trees and removing dead trees from the properties and grinding stumps. Took me a while to figure out what limbing trees were. Just take the limbs off. We are in the process, we are spreading mulch in areas that are traditionally mulched and mulching new areas of landscape around the golf course that have not had long stocks. We've had large stockpiles of mulch from the summer of 2024 storm that left many trees down. We're continuing to clean and repaint course accessories across the golf course to get them ready for the golf season. The capital project update, number 13, the country club, where we had the problem with the water, is done. They're simply waiting for now to get ready to put the grass on, ryegrass on. Kingswood, failing drainage culvert replacement. Shane has installed a new culvert pipe on number 11 and 10. Culverts on 8 and 9 remain to be replaced. Kingswood green fans on 5 greens. He's ordering the parts and hopefully they'll be done by March. Nursery green and Highlands. Greg has finished installing new greens to mix the nursery greens and hopes to plant some bent grass in late February and early March. And the driving range at Scottsdale, they have been removing all, limbing up the trees and left-hand side of the tee to provide the sunlight to the area. And Mac Division is beginning reshaping the driving, and they hope to have the project done real soon. Daryl has been busy as well. January was a strong month for golf rounds when courses were open, largely driven by unseasonably warm temperatures early in the month. Later in the month, however, we had an impact of extremely cold and snowfall, resulting in 13 days of course closure. The cave booking numbers will be tracked on this report. It should be noted that each booking represents 4 players at average. The golf rounds were up. They ended at 5,565, up more than 3,005 over last January, and up 2,400 over last January. The members, the guest rounds ended at 1,109, up over 600 from last January. The cave bookings were 114 bookings, times 4 or more. Range buckets ended the month at 3,123, up by 2,378 over the past year. Okay, down to the nitty gritty. We have some exciting news. Dave Armstrong presented a check of $10,000 to the Hannah Hillier for the Futures Cup event that was held in October. Dave expressed gratitude to Charlie Powell and Bob Wappert and the Futures Cup team captains, and also acknowledged contributions of the golf operations staff, Megan, Vaughn, Hannah, and Daryl Muldoon, their efforts to support this event. The Future Cup Academy will allocate the donations toward the golf program, high school and scholarships, academic ambassadors, and golf equipment for academy students. I express appreciation for Hannah for her outgoing and ongoing dedication for advancing junior golf in Northwest Arkansas. It's a heck of a good place to start. Next up, the maintenance we have online. And committee asked about removing trees around the golf course, potential impact on future play. And that's going to be discussed further as we go along the year, because some trees makes a big difference on how the hole plays, some it doesn't, so they'll take a look at that. Darrell Muldoon announced that the Golf Expo will not be held this year due to sustained decline in participation. Golf organizations are encouraged to register for inclusion in the digital golf directory, which will also be online. After completing a comprehensive list of activities for the 2020 events for 2026, Alex announced that they will have reduced some of the high school golf events to allow for more play for individuals. Guidelines regarding golf cart usage on par 3 holes. It was brought to our attention we need to look at that. We did. Darrell Muldoon noted that half of the par 3s are too steep for safe carts off the path, citing safety concerns. His research indicated 92% of golf courses require golf carts to remain on cart paths for all par 3s. Ruth Hatcher commented that several lengthy, less steep par 3s currently permit players with blue flags, handicap flags, to be driven on. Graham commented that excessive golf cart traffic and the negative impact to turf health. Several committee members expressed concern of allowing golf carts on par 3 holes for safety and liability issues. We called for a vote and it was unanimous not to allow golf carts off the path on par 3s, except for those with blue flags as designated on par 3s. Meeting was adjourned and we will come back in March. Questions, comments?
Financials, Beth.
Wasn't gonna come out. No. Oh. Come on. Did you offer to want that up there? Say you can't. Just supposed to have filler ready.
Can we start? There we go. All right. We are here to talk about January, the financial overview for January, and we're going to start with looking at overall, which is consolidated, both POA and water. Overall, January's EBITDA was $30,000, and that was better than budget by $105,000, $27,000 lower compared to last year. You're going to see a theme throughout this presentation of timing differences. It's the first month of a new budget year, so it's really hard to predict when a lot of revenue or expenses, a lot of different types will exactly hit during the year. So there's just inherently some timing differences that's associated with that. We're looking at operating expenses. You'll notice they were $168,000 better than budget. So $105,000 EBITDA better than budget, $168,000 of that is in operating expenses, and that's largely due to those timing differences, which we'll talk about as we go forward. It was also $222,000 more than operating expenses in the prior year. A good share of that can be related to labor cost. We started in 2026 accruing labor monthly according to how many work days there are in the month versus how many pay periods. When the pay periods hit, we've previously done that only annually. Now we're going to do it monthly to better match revenue and expenses as each month goes, but that will cause some periodic variances versus 2025 throughout the year as we're comparing 26 to 25 on labor. And looking at revenue overall consolidated, it reached 3.08 million. That was below budget by just 47,000, but better than last year by 203,000. Revenue for the water utility, typically this time of year especially, comes from an increase in new water taps, which affects water service connection fees and capital buy-in fees. That is one of those items that's hard to predict when that's going to happen, and also weather really affects that as well. And we did have some poor weather conditions during January, so between that and the unpredictable timing nature, it led to those key revenue drivers falling short of budget in January. So wrapping it all up, consolidated revenue again was 3.08 million, which was worse than budget, better than prior year. Expenses was 2,651,000, which was better than budget, worse than prior year, and EBITDA coming in at 30,000, which was 105,000 better than budget and just below prior year. Looking at POA only without water, it came in at EBITDA of a negative 177,000. That was better than budget by 225,000 and 20,000 better than prior year. Total revenue reached 2.1 million, which was better than budget by 9,000 and prior year by 146,000. Cost of goods sold was 12,000 worse than budget. So between the revenue variance and the cost of goods sold variance, gross margin was just 3,000 difference to budget. So you'll see the EBITDA was 225,000 better than budget. That was all pretty much almost all related to operating expenses for the POA and that timing issue that we're talking about. And a lot of that is in repairs and maintenance, delivery of supplies that arrived earlier than expected, health insurance. It's hard to predict when claims are going to come in, unused vacation accrual, when people are going to take vacations. Those were a lot of the big bucket items of those operating expense timings. Looking at POA, revenue was 2,061,000, 9,000 better than budget, 146,000 better than prior year. COGS, as mentioned, 122,000, 12,000 worse than budget, 3,000 more than prior year. Expenses were 2,116,000, which was 228,000 better than budget, 123 worse than prior year, with EBITDA coming in at a negative 177,000, again 225,000 better than budget and 20,000 more than prior year. Diving into some of POA's divisions, golf operations achieved 192,000 positive EBITDA in January, which was better than budget by 54,000. They just did that despite being closed 13 days for weather. Higher than expected in January was greens fees, cart fees, and pro shop sales, which was 49,000 of that revenue above budget. And they had good warm temperatures earlier in the month before the severe cold and snow hit, so they were able to still close the month up from budget. In the pro shop, it was equipment, golf balls, and club repair that was the key contributor to pro shop sales in January, and cost of goods sold on the pro shop was 68%. Operating expenses were just 9,000 better than budget, and that was mainly from hourly wages saved due to the weather closures. Looking at the golf locations, the top performers were Kingsdale, which was 20,000 better than budget on EBITDA. Highlands was 16,000 better than budget EBITDA. Metfield came in at 13,000 better than budget, and Country Club 12,000 better than budget. And last, but still great, Tainard Creek came in at 10,000 better than budget, and Scottsdale 4,000 better than budget. Turning to food and beverage. Food and beverage exceeded their budgeted EBITDA by $16,000. Again, despite revenue softness due to weather, the extreme cold and snow affected them as well on revenue. But they did have labor savings and operating expenses that were due to reduced hourly and part-time labor from closings, and also a couple vacancies. And their gross margin was $23,000 worse than budget, but it was $9,000 better than prior year. Looking at locations, BV Bar and Grill beat their EBITDA budget by $10,000, Lake Point $6,000. The total golf locations, food and beverage, was $2,000 better than budget. Little Sugar Bistro came in $7,000 worse than budget on their EBITDA, and Highlands Pub $1,000 worse than budget. Some other POA highlights: the RV storage fees exceeded budget in January by $18,000 due to member resources. Did a good push of contacting members early and follow-up efforts to bring that in. Recreation division surpassed EBITDA by $36,000, but that was driven by expense timing and also labor savings. As I talked about earlier, health, dental, and life insurance costs were $25,000 better than budget in January. We expect that to potentially balance out during the year. A notable one-time cost: street signs were repaired, and that was a project that was completed in January with a cost of $42,000. Now turning to water. Water's EBITDA was $208,000 in January. That did fall $120,000 short of budget. The EBITDA shortfall stems from some delayed water taps that impact revenue, and also early supply deliveries that impacted expenses. That budget variance was evenly split pretty much between the gross margin reduction and the operating expenses. Looking at the revenue variance specifically, new water service connections, capital buy-in fees, they fell short of budget due to the unpredictable timing nature of those and weather. Water sales were slightly below budget, but they were significantly higher than previous years, so showing growth despite challenges. And operating expenses were above budget due to timing differences, primarily in meter installation materials and equipment delivery that came in earlier than expected. And looking at water's results for January, revenue was $1,017,000, which was $55,000 worse than budget, $57,000 better than the prior year. Cost of goods sold was $275,000, $5,000 worse than budget, and $6,000 worse than prior year. Expenses were $535,000, which was $60,000 worse than budget, and $99,000 worse than prior year. And EBITDA coming in at $208,000, which was $119,000 worse than budget and $46,000 better than prior year. Turning to cash and debt, the POA had $1.8 million in operating funds and $868,000 in reserves at the end of the month. The water utility had $3.1 million in operating funds and $3.6 million in reserves at the end of the month. The POA maintains a debt of $3.1 million to the water utility and $5.7 million in outstanding bank loans. Looking for expectations for the first quarter, we expect that volatility in operating expenses due to timing and also revenue and related to water taps to continue in Q1. Water taps also, recreation amenity fees goes along with that on the POA side as well. There was also, I didn't mention earlier, some timing differences in membership transfer fees that were down a little bit on the POA side. Golf and recreation activities remain sensitive to the weather, but they're currently showing positive trends. And management, we're remaining very focused on expense control and responsible cash stewardship. Looking at the one pager, on the left side is the by department EBITDA variances to budget for the month. You'll see that golf operations, golf maintenance, recreation, lakes and parks were all the best big winners for the month. Going down to worse than budget, water was the one that was worse than budget by the most in January. We've talked about everything on the right side. As always, there's more detailed financial information that can be found at our website at that address. You have any questions?
Thank you, Beth. Open forum, nobody has signed up. I got it.
Thank you.
And no emails, correct? Next on the agenda is on February 12th, GM meeting. We went into an executive session. Summary of that session was an emergency capital request, Country Club roof repair. In the interest of the quickening of the process for the repair, the Board of Directors unanimously voted to approve the emergency capital request for the Country Club roof repair.
And we're working on scheduling that roof repair, which will probably require some closure of at least portion of the restaurant and the clubhouse, maybe all or portion. And we're going to try and combine that with some window work that we need to get done in the one dining area where the window is loose. So we're going to, since that's probably going to be an eyesore, an issue, so we're going to try and combine. If everything works great, we're going to try and do both at the exact same time. So,
Thank you. Tom, capital project for tennis.
so for tennis, we included in the budget. First of all, the tennis. Our tennis pro Kelly was successful in securing 3 grants. And a national grant for $20,900, a Southern grant for $8,470, and a Arkansas grant for $500. We assume that, and this work is going to be, the work we're going to do is to fill some of the cracks, and we just didn't realize that accounting would have to code this as a capital project. So we had the grant money, and then we also had $5,000 in the operating budget. But we were informed by accounting that it would need to classify as a capital project. So it's not going to change the net cash position of the budget. It's an accounting requirement. Should have caught it before, but we didn't, unfortunately. But we are correcting it to make sure that when our auditors look at it in 2027, they will be happy with that we made sure to do it the right way.
Thank you. Need a motion for this project?
I move that we authorize a capital project of $34,870 for tennis court resurfacing, with the understanding that $29,870 will come from the grants and $5,000 from the recreation operating budget.
Thank you, Jeff. Second? Bob, thank you. Any further conversation on this capital project? Go ahead, Bob.
One question, do we have the current funds from the grants in our account, or will they be coming?
We do the work, we show them the bill, then they give us the money.
Okay, thank you.
Anything else? All right, all in favor? 9-0.
I want to back up real quick.
Yep.
On the executive session, the vote on the roof, you can actually see, we included in the board packet the suggested motion, which actually turned out to be the actual motion that was passed. And so for those viewers at home, they can actually get a little bit more information. We did discuss this at the work session, but for those at home, you can actually get a little bit more information in the board packet, which is available.
Good clarification.
Next item is credit card surcharge. If you recall, in the fee change that went through with the approval of the budget and the fee change for 2026, we included some additional charges for credit card fees. And at that time, we were told by our software provider, TEI, that they couldn't apply a percentage-based surcharge for transactions paid by credit cards. We have now been informed that they can do this. And keep in mind that our credit card fees are between $800,000 and $900,000 a year. So it is a heavy hit to the POA. And so we are asking the board to approve a credit card fee surcharge not to exceed 3%. That we would apply to retail transactions, F&B transactions, and we would spell these out on the receipts so our customers are fully informed of what they're paying for.
Thank you. Can we get a motion to authorize the surcharge?
Do you want that 3% stated in the motion?
That's probably a
Make
good
a
idea.
motion authorizing the implementation of a credit card surcharge to retail and food and beverage transactions not to exceed 3%.
Thank you, David. Second, Kathleen, thank you. Any more conversation, discussion on this one?
And I was
Yeah,
reading
Roger.
while Tom was talking, but I do want to make sure that it's clear that this won't, it only is the credit card transactions, not debit cards or cash or anything like that.
Correct.
That is correct.
Deborah?
And we talked about this last week a little bit, but I just want to reiterate for our members that were not watching. Every establishment is hit with these charges. This is the cost of doing business. It's a pretty big expense to the business and they're not going to be able to absorb it. The majority of businesses are adding this to their cost of goods and their operations. And so the customer is paying this regardless. They're just not aware or it's not front of mind. The way we are choosing to approach this gives our members and our guests the option of using their credit card or another means of payment, and it is very transparent.
Yeah, transparency, good call out.
And also another point, what was the number, Beth, last year, 700,000 roughly in? Closer to 800,000 that the POA paid out in credit card processing fees.
Anybody else?
Guess there's no free lunch. Miles.
Yeah, those mileage card, the money comes from somewhere. You know, everybody loves to use the mileage cards, but the money comes from somewhere, and the fees continue to go up, and so.
Anything else? All right, all in favor? 9-0, thank you.
Next item on the agenda is the second and final vote on the modifications to policy 5.05, boat registrations and mooring lease agreement. I want to make it clear that these changes will actually kick in 2027, but we're making the changes now. Our member resources is informing people of these changes. We're trying to give as much advance notice as possible so that these changes are not a surprise to our membership next year.
Thank you. Can I get a motion on policy 5.05 change?
I make a motion to approve the suggested changes to policy 5.05, boat registration and mooring lease agreement. This is the second reading of 2 required readings.
Thank you, Deborah. Second? Sandy, thank you. Any further discussion? We've talked about this one quite a bit. Yeah. All right, go to vote. All in favor? 9-0. Thank you. That brings us to the end of the agenda other than announcements. Does anybody have anything else they want to discuss? Yeah, Bob?
I just want to compliment Lake Point for their Valentine's Day dinner offering. The plate of food that was put in front of me was like I was at a buffet. It was fabulously prepared. The service was great. The cost was reasonable. For those that didn't have the opportunity to go, I would strongly suggest next year you make reservations because it was fantastic.
Good deal. Yeah, we went to Neon Lights last night. It was kind of neat. So, doing a lot of cool stuff. Anything else? All right, we'll go to announcements. The next Recreation JAC meeting is Monday, March 9th at 4 PM in the boardroom and live stream, and they will all be that way unless otherwise noted. Lakes JAC meeting is Wednesday, March 11th at 2 PM, followed by Ruth's Golf JAC meeting Wednesday, March 11th at 4 PM. Board of Directors GM meeting is Thursday, March 12th at 2:30 PM in the boardroom, and that is a closed meeting. The first meet the, or I guess the only, the Meet the Candidates night is Monday, March 16th at 6 PM, and that is at the Bella Vista Recreation Center. Board of Directors work session is Thursday, March 19th at 9 AM. The next Board of Directors regular meeting is Thursday, the 26th of March at 6, and the Board of Election begins. The election of the board begins April 13th, and the ballots will start arriving via mail and email. And once again, anything else? If not, we're adjourned.